So, we are talking about what is a virtuous woman, or what is a woman of valor, or a wife of valor. It's all part the same meaning. And so, the passage we've just read in Genesis 2 and 3, part of it shows that first God created Adam, and later he realized that man needed, a helpmeet, someone to assist, someone to support, someone to, to be a life partner, as we would say in this day. And God created the woman. And again, verse 21 says, and the Lord God, verse 20 rather, and Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. So there was no one. He was just alone. And so when God created a woman, God created a woman to help, to support, to guide, to encourage, and also to be partners in the field, so that they will both do what is necessary. But in chapter 3, we see that they were supposed to work together. They are supposed to work together. They are supposed to do the same thing, which means that Adam was supposed to protect, to guide, to help, and the woman was also to support and to guide and to provide what is necessary, so that whatever needed to be done, they have to do it together. The one cannot do something and not let the other know. The other cannot also do things on their own and say that, well, I'm doing it on my own. We know from what God has said that they were supposed to be together. They were supposed to be helpmeet. They were supposed to be partners. Let's use that word to make it easier. And so they were all going to be coordinating things. But when the devil came in, and Satan, through the serpent, through the snake, came and said, oh, well, why don't you, eat of this fruit, basically, or, because the serpent came with deception. And deception means that when there are things, when there are issues, you try first to use your partner, you consider, you deliberate, you agree on it. Look at what the serpent did. Chapter 3 again. And the serpent said unto the woman, verse 1, half of verse 1, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? It was a trick question. The devil knows. The woman knows. But the question came in such a way that it says, oh, does it mean that you're not supposed to eat any of this fruit? There was a condition which God had already set. There were some boundaries that God had set. He said, don't do this, because if you do it, this will happen. But with curiosity, with a desire, with an intent to adventure into an area that God had said don't, created the problem that is in the world, that has been in the world since. And because there was specific instructions that God had already put in place, because there were three things that the devil also tried to say. He said, verse 4, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. That was a lie. God was talking about spiritual death and also physical death, because originally God wanted them to have both the physical and the spiritual life. But verse 5, for God doth know, that's the devil again, that in the day ye eat thereof, the first thing he said, then your eyes shall be opened. The question is that, were their eyes not opened before? They could see, she could see, everybody could see. But because the devil wanted to trick, he said, oh, then you will have, not just your eyes will be open, you have enlightenment, you have extra understanding, knowledge, wisdom, and ye shall be as gods. You see, the first thing is that your eyes will be opened. Secondly, oh, your eyes, you will be like gods. And then, what else will happen? You will be able to know good and evil. God already said don't, because when you do, this is what will be the consequence. You are going to die. But the devil is now trying to trick. And verse 6 says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, the question is that, were they not eating before, or were they not being provided for before? They were. But the trick was that, oh, okay, well, when you do this, this will happen. Good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes. What does the eye do? Don't we all have eyes? And eyes, what does the eyes do? The eyes is never satisfied. The eyes is into lust, into things that you don't want. That is the beginning of lust. And that is why John, tells us, be careful, because the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. So she realized that it was pleasant, good for food, pleasant to the eyes, and that it's also desired to make one wise. And she desired wisdom. She desired to know more, enlightenment. She took of it, of the fruit, therefore, and ate. And, of course, it also says that she gave some to the husband, and the husband also compromised. So when you look at the scriptures, while the woman failed or compromising, it is rather the man. The blame went to the man, because the man, Adam, should have refused. But because he accepted it, it came to her. It came to him rather as the judgment. And that's why we hear that the first Adam, which means the first man, he died, he sinned. But the second Adam is Christ, who refused to sin, who obeyed. So when we talk about being a virtuous woman is supposed to be one who doesn't compromise, who doesn't cause anything wrong to happen, who doesn't make sin to happen, who doesn't encourage anything. And like as we've said, a virtuous woman should not act in the way that Eve acted, because you don't compromise. When you know it's sin and you've been told it's sin, then you do it and say, oh, here, you also take. So that was a cause of what has gone on over the ages, because the woman compromised. But what is a virtuous woman? What is her quality? When we read the scriptures, we are given all of those principles that is associated with a woman of valor, a woman of principle, a woman who does all of those things that God has identified in Proverbs 31 from 10 onward. It says, who can find a virtuous woman or a woman of valor or a wife of valor? For her price is far above rubies, which means that her quality, what she does, it's all following the principles that God has laid down, and that she works in coordination with the husband. She does everything right. It is not about being a virgin, or that. It means that first, once a woman of virtue will also mean that in all her life, before she gets to that level of being married, she also lives a virtuous life, a way in which it is not going to taste the world. You don't go and taste the whole scene in the world and then come back and say, oh, now I want to be a woman of virtue. You start from your youth, and then you move up into the level of becoming precious in everything that you do.